Hi, good morning and welcome to Homespun in Wales. My name is Dawn and I live on a small holding in Carmarthenshire, South Wales. Right, today is Thursday the 14th of January and this is number 6 in my crafty vlog. So if you've been watching from the beginning of the month, you know January, November, December time, I sorted all my whips, UFOs, divided them into boxes and labelled them for throughout the year, January to December, and each month I'm pulling out a box and trying to finish off those projects. Now, last week I showed you a finish on a cross stitch that was started some, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever. So that was the first finish of January from the January box, and this week, as you can see behind me, is another finish. Not just a finish, but a complete finish. The Jardine quilt. When I pulled it out of the box, I still had 2 blocks to finish. These are all hand embroidered. I'll bring the camera a bit closer so you can see. Let me just move my tea out of the way. Right. There we go. Oops, sorry about that. That's just me knocking something over. See if I can tilt the camera down a bit. That's about as good as it's going to get. Right. So this is Le Jardine quilt. It's from the Scrappy Girls Quilt Club, which folded about, I think it folded about 12 years ago, and it was one of the patterns that they had on there. So this was started about 12 to 14 years ago, and I still had 2 blocks left to hand embroider. I had this one to do, and I had the centre one with the farmhouse, and it is all, well, let's slide you along a bit, stretch you out a bit. There we go. So as you can see, it is now all finished and basted and hand embroidered and appliqued. Everything. All the borders are on, cornerstones are on. Backing, it's a William Morrissey, one of the William Morrissey mini prints that has been used in the borders. I've used the yellow one and the blue there, so I've used the yellow for the backing. So that is now completely finished, so it can be folded up and put away with all the other quilts that have been finished. This one's a wall hanging, it's not a quilt for a bed, it's a wall hanging. Yeah, so I was quite pleased to get that finished, and it was quite exciting, and it gives you a real rush of achievement, adrenaline rush, dopamine, whatever you want to call it, getting a project finished that's been on the back burner for years. So yeah, done and dusted, ready to be put away. Now the next project I've been working on is a 34-year-old cross stitch, and it's from the Countryside. It's from the Needlecraft magazine, August-September 1991, and it's a countryside sampler, British countryside sampler, and it's all different wild animals and things. Now it's a bit stained and discoloured, etc., and there's not a vast amount to be done, mainly this bottom section. So this week I started it, I think at the weekend I picked it all up again, and I've managed to get this bit here done. So I'm sort of gradually filling in this corner. There's not actually much more to be put into this corner. There's an otter that goes along the bottom here, and I think there's a butterfly over here, and this is all vegetation with the heron's legs, vegetation. And that's my needle minder. Let me move him out of the way. Yeah, so he can be my butterfly. Look, there's a butterfly round about there. There's an otter, and then there's the border the border's actually quite a pretty little border, and so I've just got the border to work around in the evenings. And this is the thing, I can only really, I sit and do the cross stitch in the evening, and I maybe have about 2, at a push, maybe 3 hours to do it before I go to bed. So it's not a lot of time really. Now, I needed to pull the flosses out. I couldn't find my original box of floss, but it was DMC's I know I was using, and I needed to pull out my floss. And I know I've got a very good selection of DMC, because I used to have a shop before I moved here to Wales. I used to have a craft shop in Bletchley, back in Milton Keynes, and we stocked DMC, and we stocked yarn, and we stocked fabrics and paper crafts. We all sorts of things we stocked. When I moved here, I kept it going for about 6 months after moving, and then I decided to close it. The travelling backwards and forwards each month to organise things was, it was becoming depressing, so I decided to shut the shop. And when I shut it, of course, we had a big massive sale, 50% off sale, to get rid of as much stock as possible. And then what stock was left was boxed up and brought here to Wales, and I have a storage unit on the side of the house here. We have a barn, and I have a unit built in that barn, and that's where the shop stock was put. And over the years I've sold off lots and lots of it. I still have some there which I really must move out. So I knew I had a big box of DMC floss, because when I come to sell the DMC, there was a big round stand. I think it had about 500 or just short of 500 different shades of DMC embroidery floss on it, stranded cotton. When I come to sell that stand, I decided to pull off. I was selling it, I think, with 6 strands of each colour on. So any extras I pulled off and I put into a big box. Mistake number 1. What I should have done was, as I was pulling them off, was put them into little bags and kept them all separate. But I didn't. Put them all into one big box. And over the years, they've been delved into by me and by people who want certain colours, and, you know, of course I needed to pull the flosses to do this cross stitch, and that led, I couldn't find all the colours. It was a bit of a nightmare trying to go through the box, so I'll show you a couple of video clips now of what happened regarding the floss. Well, this was a rabbit hole I dived down into. See all these flosses, lovely colours, aren't they? These are all DMC, and these are all floss as well in these bags, and all them there. Now what happened was, I needed to pull some floss for the 34-year-old cross stitch that I was going to do from my January box. And all the floss was stored in this big storage box here, but trying to find the ones I wanted was a bit of a nightmare, so I decided to organise. And right, so this container here is all the flosses starting in the 100s. This is the 300s, that's the 400s, that's the 5s, the 6, the 700s, 800s, these are 900s, these are all the 3000s. So I've been organising them like that, and then breaking them down into their colour lots, putting them all into little bags, and getting down to the last few, I decided to have them spread out, so they're all going in numerical order. So this top row And this row is now all complete, ready to be bagged up or added to bags we've already got. And this is all the 3000s in number, and these are all 3000s as well. I've run out of space, so I decided to get all of these ones finished first. So I'm now going to get these ones all bagged up and finish sorting these ones. Right, it did become a bit of a nightmare sorting them all out, and it actually took me three days, from about 11 in the morning until 5 in the evening, just going through them and sorting them. And what I decided to do was, with all the DMCs, they come with numbers, a little number on the sleeve. So I decided to sort them all, the 100s, the 200s, the 300s, like that. And then in the individual colours as well. And this is the big box of floss. And there is 486 skeins of stranded cotton in this box. No, there's 486 different shades of embroidery skeins in this box. So sorting them out, let me just show you. I'll pull out a couple here just to show you. Right, these ones are all or some of the 3000 numbers, and you'd think the numbers would all go colour order, wouldn't you? Like all the pinks would be one, you know, in numerical order, all the blues. But of course it doesn't work like that, because over the years, of course, DMC has added in more shades and more shades, and so the number range has expanded. So I don't know if you can see it, there's a little number on there, and all of these ones here in my hand are all from the 3000 range, and so they've all been sorted into colour number, which is brilliant, because now, but also, if I can just pull up the top of the box here, I'll pull up one of the box tabs underneath. What I've done is, like, all the 700s, all the numbers in the 700 shade are in this bag marked number 7. And I've got a bag for number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 8s, the 9s, and then it jumps to 3000, where I've got a 5-gallon bag, and I needed another 5-gallon bag for the remainder that I've got sitting at the top here. So I've got to find another 5-gallon bag for that. As well as that, I've listed them all in a little book, of which I am going to put a copy of in with the flosses. So if I get asked or I'm looking for a floss, I can go straight away through my list, look to see if I've got it, and then I know exactly where to find it. So that little 34-year-old cross stitch led to this marathon task of working through flosses. So that knocked me back another sort of 3 days really, in what I was doing. So, but I've made progress in the evenings, and I'm quite pleased with the progress that's been made. I'm going to a craft group this afternoon, and I shall take my cross stitch along, so I'll get another couple of hours stitching in there. I've got another craft group on Friday morning where I can get another couple of hours stitching in there. So who knows, maybe, where are we, the 14th, still got another 2 weeks of the month. I might get very close to finishing it. If I am, I don't think I'll be putting it back in the box. I think I will keep it out and finish it. It deserves to be finished. It's 34 years in the making. So that was that. The next thing, of course, once this quilt was finished, daytime sewing for me is quilting, working on my sewing machine, any dressmaking, alterations, anything like that I want to do. Anything that involves machinery, I tend to do during the day. This is my small sewing room, and it's literally, you could fit in a double bed and maybe a very small single wardrobe and a maybe a chest of drawers, and that would be it. So this is the smallest room in the house, and I've commandeered this one for an indoor sewing room. I've got a cabin down the garden, which houses my long arm quilter, my industrial sewing machine, my big embroidery machine. I've got a small embroidery machine up here, and this one is my original embroidery stroke sewing machine. So yeah, so down there, yeah, so I've got the big embroidery machine. I've got another industrial machine that used to be on my long arm. One day I'll do a video down there and I'll show you the different machines I've got down there. And the one that used to be on my long arm, I've now got as a free motion machine. So that's just set up in its own permanent table as a free motion. I've also got a knit machine down there, and I've got an area to do paper crafts. So it's quite a nice big cabin. Got heating, got electric, got internet, got TV, got everything down there. And I tend to be down there during the day. Evenings is when I'll sit and do hand embroidery, crochet, knitting, cross stitch, that type of thing. So of course it meant, because that was finished, I could pull something else out of the box, and I pulled out the Mandy quilt, which was in here, and the bag is empty. It's empty because the Mandy quilt, as I'm calling it, it was made by the top was all quilted by my friend Mandy, is now on the long arm waiting to be quilted. It's I got it all loaded up yesterday afternoon. I'll pop a picture in here to show it on the machine. So it's on the machine, waiting now to be started, and I'm hoping tomorrow to get it started, because I need a day where I'm not going to get interrupted, where I've got a full day to work on it, because I don't use the long arm all the time. You know, it's a bit of a refresher for me each time, and I have to program it all, etc. as well. Tomorrow I've got nothing planned, so tomorrow being Thursday is the day I'm hoping to get that quilted, and then that'll be another project off the list. It's not going to get binding put on it, because at some point it is going to be made into a jacket, a quilted jacket. So that's that project bag empty. Now all that leaves in here is just this one, which I will pull out hopefully over the weekend and get started on it. This is the Pauline Innes kit to go with her the heirloom quilt, and this is the bolster pillow to go with it. So fingers crossed. I haven't got anything else planned for the weekend, so once I get the Mandy quilt done, this will be my daytime sewing project. But saying that, I did mention on my, hang on, I just got to take a slurp of tea. I did mention about this year I wanted to do the year of quilting, a block for every week, and it's by Debbie Shaw and Melissa Naylor. So that's the quilt, and that's the book to go with it, and I showed on my last video I'd pulled the fabrics for it. I've done 2 blocks, so I'm up to date with my blocks. Let me show you. I've got a little video here showing the making of the 2 blocks, so I'll pop that in here. Right, the 2 blocks. That's the first one. Flying geese. So, and as you can see, the blocks are they're not just square blocks. This one's a rectangular block, but it's done. So that's that block out of the way. This one was foundation paper piecing. So that's that one done. Now here I have got a criticism of the book. Right. So, flying geese. That's that one. It was fairly straightforwardish. I wouldn't say this is a beginner's. It's definitely not for beginners. Then of course the heart, which was foundation paper piecing. Now this is my criticism. I haven't done foundation paper piecing before, and the whole point of doing this quilt was to expand my quilting techniques and ability in that. So it says photocopy the template onto your paper, which I did. The template was on, where was it, page 168. 166. Right. Oops. Put it there then. Right. So that's the template. So I photocopied that, like it said, and then it says, referring to the technique on page 49 with your pattern duly creased. There's no explanation on how to crease it, but I had seen on some videos, so I had a rough idea what to do. Place the 3.5 inch white triangle in position 1. Note the outside edge will be on the diagonal. So, right, it says technique on page 49. So I thought, right, let's go to page 49. That is literally the instructions. There's no explanation on how to. It just says the templates will have a numerical order, sometimes in alphabetical order. Let me see. Fabrics are positioned on the back of the template and then stitched in place from the front, following the printed lines. On completion, the template is removed. If you've used interfacing or stabilizer, it can be left in situ. All will become clear once you have a go. That is the instructions for the technique. There's no mention of you're having to flip it and fold it or nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I do think that is very, very poor. And if I hadn't, and there's quite a few foundation paper pieced blocks in this pattern, and I do think that that's a personal criticism on me. There's no clear instructions. You know, it's just, oh, it will become clear once you start. And it says, learn how to create 52 unique blocks. So, yeah, I'm not overly impressed with that. You do need some quilting knowledge, and you're going to have to do a bit of research. I will put the book down below, a link down below, for anybody who's interested in it. So that's about me up to date. I did say about starting this slow stitching project, but I've decided against it. Now is not a good time for me to take on another project. I need to get to grips with unfinished projects first. I've got 2 other quilts in the making that have been in the making for quite a few years, probably about 10-12 years, something like that. But I'm going to do a separate video to show them, and they are something I need to tackle. And I will I do have machine embroidery projects that I work on, but machine embroidery I find is, I don't class that as an unfinished project. I don't have many of them that are unfinished. I tend to go from start to finish and get them done, apart from the big panels, of course. So the first week I lost 3 days out to searching for my dream big panels. Second week I lost out 3 days sorting out flosses. Hopefully this weekend I can just get started on that, and maybe then next week, what my plan is to get ahead with a couple of blocks on the year of quilting, yeah, you know, just sort of get ahead with it all, because there are going to be weeks where I don't have time to make any, and I do want to get these other 2 quilts sorted as well. And I've got to get a baby quilt done. We've just had a new little baby girl arrive in the family, Isla May, and she was born last Friday. My great granddaughter, yeah, my great granddaughter she is. So I need to get a baby quilt made for her as well. So I'm going to wind up there. The sun is shining, the snow has been and gone, thank goodness. I have had a few days of workmen coming in. We've been setting up a generator. Every time we get storms, we lose power. And over the years, we've added to our arsenal of power outages equipment. So the latest purchase, we've now got a big generator that will run not just our house, but it will run the oldies. I keep referring to the oldies. That's Martin's parents. They're in a mobile home, live down there. They've both got dementia. They're both 88, and needless to say, any power cuts puts them at risk, because their heating, nothing works, and with the dementia, both having dementia, they get quite upset, confused as to what's going on. So it's important we keep their power going. So we've invested in a bigger generator that we can just switch over to should there be a power outage. We had a power cut. When did the storm come through? Was it Thursday, Friday last week? Thursday night, Friday, yeah, Thursday night. The power went off at about 9 o'clock. Parents were already in bed, fast asleep, thank goodness. So it didn't affect them. And that was when we made the decision, right, we need to get a bigger generator. So we've had the electrician in and out the past few days, sorting all that out, putting in the switch over thing, and etc. We also lost the top of our chimney in the storm last week. So we run our own scaffolding business, so Martin's been getting scaffolding put up, and the lads have been here helping to get the scaffold up so we can get that repaired. So it's been another busy week of workmen, but this morning I got the house to myself. Martin's had to take his dad down for a blood test, and he's taking his parents shopping so they can pick up a few food bits that they want. And so it's quite nice to have the house all to myself, no interruptions. Usually when I do a video there will be an interruption. Somebody will, either I have a little dog here and he starts barking or running in and out, or somebody will come to the door, or a delivery man, or the parents will ring their bell wanting something, or there's workmen banging around. So it's lovely to have the place all to myself. So I'm out this afternoon, all my housework's done, out Friday morning. Oh, and talking about going out, in case you didn't know, we're having a quilt show at Bilfwells, which is on the border of Wales and England, and that is February the 20th and 21st, and it's run by Grosvenor Shows. I just purchased tickets the other day for Mandy and me to go, We're going to be having quite a few days out this year. Mandy's cancer has returned, and unfortunately it's not good news this time round. She started a round of chemo yesterday, but it will be the only round of chemo she gets. So yeah, she's on a timeline, and that's why it's important I get this quilt finished and a jacket made from it, the quilt that Mandy made me for Christmas a few years ago. And I'd like to be able to be wearing the jacket either at this quilt show or one that we go to later in the year. So we will be having plenty of days out. So thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that notification button, you know, leave me some comments. It all helps the channel to get seen and helps to build it up. So take care everybody, and I'll catch up with you again very shortly.